Investment advisory and financial planning services are offered through Simplicity Wealth, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. SEC registration does not constitute nor endorse of the firm, nor does it indicate that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill nor ability. Investing involves risk of loss. Insurance, consulting, and education services offered through Diamond Life Planning is a separate and unaffiliated entity from Simplicity Wealth. This information is provided as a general information that is not intended to be specific financial guidance. Before you make any decisions regarding your personal financial situation, you should consult a financial or tax professional to discuss your individual circumstances and objectives.
Welcome to the Rock My Finances show on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV, where we put the fun in finance. Join Powerhouse Jennifer Joseph, CDFA, CMC, and Private Wealth Advisor, as she collaborates with you to create clarity, control, and confidence with your money, your way. It's not about the zeros, so what is it all about? Let's find out. Now here's your host and weekly friend, Jennifer Joseph.
Welcome back to another amazing episode. Today I have a great guest for you. I cannot wait to get into this because one of my mantras is a life unexamined is not worth living by Mr. Socrates. And this is what we're going to dive in and do today. So I'm going to bring on right now Miss Bev Mitelman. I want to make sure I'm saying that right. Founder of Securely Loved and is a verified good therapy professional, shares how insecure attachment, emotional overwhelm, and early relationship trauma shape our romantic relationships, our self-esteem, our family dynamics. And even without us realizing it, this stuff's going on underneath the surface, y'all. So welcome, Bev. Did I say your name right?
You did. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Middleman, I love it, love it, love it. So we are on Rock My Finances, and my favorite word is the F word. I have a lot of favorite words, the F words, but this one I'm talking about is the feeling word. And so I believe in manifestation. I believe in law of attraction. I believe in all women being at a decision-making table in the United States and in the world. I believe that women feeling worthy of wealth will literally change this world. This is true inside me, my body. These are my bones. This is everything. And your Securely Loved website, I hope you all check out our website, take her quiz, find out what attachment style you are so that you can relate to your family, friends, staff, lover, anybody a little bit better. Kids also, right?
Yeah.
I love that. So I wasn't able to take the quiz yet. So I want you to tell us a little bit about, Bev, tell us about the different emotional attachment styles. How different can they be?
Yeah, that's great. So essentially, one of the key things that I like to start off with is to tell people that surprisingly, everyone has an attachment style. And it's really just a way in which we form an emotional bond with someone else, right? And these patterns, the way in which we go about interacting with ourselves and with others, they're established really, really early in our childhood. So you can imagine we're born 0 to 5 and we're like a blank slate. So everything that we see, we feel, we experience, we hear, all of that forms a template that then lives in our subconscious mind that tells us this is the way that I am to think about myself and interact with others, right? So this is where the attachment styles come in. So we often talk about 4 attachment styles. There's actually 2 broad categories. If we step back, there's people who are securely attached and people who are insecurely attached. In a nutshell, people who are securely attached grew up in a home where there was a good amount of emotional attunement from their caregivers. What does that mean? That means we're not talking about perfection, because I'm a mother too. None of us get this perfectly right? But emotional attunement. So the child learned that they could be their authentic self. If they were sad, it was safe to say, I'm sad. They learned to communicate. They learned to identify their emotions. They learned about boundaries and respect for themselves and others. And they learned healthy coping mechanisms. All of this really great stuff that helps us as we become adults, right? Yep. In everyday life, it helps us at work. It helps us with family members. It helps us with romantic partners. It's sort of the utopia, right? So these people grow up with a healthy base of coping skills. They're securely attached. Now,
the rest of us are completely screwed up and insecure.
So in North America, the stats are somewhere around 40 to 50%. It's probably about 40% are securely attached, which means the rest, the 60%, are insecurely attached. Okay?
Can you ever change that?
Yes.
Okay,
You
good.
can. But I want people to understand what this actually means, right? Because again, it's just the way in which you form an emotional bond. It is not a mental illness. It's not a personality disorder. That's not what we're talking about here. So people who are insecurely attached, they unfortunately didn't grow up in homes where they had, as I previously described, this level of emotional attunement. And there are so many situations whereby a child can be either, not get consistent love, not feel consistently safe, feel emotionally neglected, be abused, on and on and on, where they develop a different lens, right? They don't feel safe in the world. And so what they do to survive, every child does this, is they create a set of maladaptations to survive the environment that they're in their house of origin. Now, those maladaptations generally follow us into adulthood because people are unaware of this because it lives in our subconscious mind. So what are these maladaptations that I'm talking about? There's one of two ways that a child can go. When a child is not getting the emotional attunement that they need in order for healthy development, they either become anxiously attached or avoidantly attached.
All in, or don't even try to get in this heart of mine.
Yeah, kind of, right? And there's all sorts of variations to that. There is a category actually that develop both avoiding traits
Yep.
and anxious traits. And that was me for many, many years. And so I would sway back and forth between this anxious attachment and also avoidant attachment. So just to give your listeners a little bit of an idea, oftentimes people see themselves when I start to describe some of this. The individual who becomes anxiously attached as an adult often had a parent who was not consistent or predictable. So they would get love sometimes, and they knew that felt good. But often the love was taken away, or the parents would leave, or there were too many kids in the home, so they only got attention and validation sometimes. Maybe the mother, for example, was an alcoholic and one day was very loving and the next day was very mean. And so the child develops a sense of, this is not predictable. I am not safe, right? And they start developing, when they become anxiously attached, all sorts of maladaptations to try and win the love, earn the attention and love from the parents. And they generally become overly congenial, perfectionist. They start becoming mother's little helpers. They're the ones that do usually exceptionally well behaved. They're trying to always stay in the good graces of their parents to earn their love. This is where we start to see the break in the authenticity, because the child is given no space. Even if the child is feeling legit angry about something, the child is given no space to be angry, because oftentimes in these homes, all of the oxygen is taken up by one individual person who demands that all the attention is on them.
Yep.
Right? And so the child learns very quickly, there's really no space for my authenticity. If I'm having a bad day at school, I'm sad, I'm upset, I still have to put a smile on my face and pretend like everything is fine to please my caregiver, or I will lose their love. Now think about that pattern for a moment. It is so destructive, because what we see is oftentimes these people who are anxiously attached, they grow up believing that they have to give selflessly. They have to sacrifice everything in order to be loved by someone else, especially in a romantic context.
Well, and then it's not even like they don't even know themselves now, because now they're turning themselves into such a pretzel to make the caregiver, and then your best friend in ninth grade, and then the cool boyfriend in 12th grade, and then the college dude. Like, you don't even know who you are now because you never even got to become yourself, because you're still trying to win something that you don't even know what it is at this point. You're just trying to make yourself safe and happy.
That's exactly right. They're unaware of this. And because the emphasis, you said it so well, because the emphasis is always on, I'm going to make this person happy, because if they're happy, then I'm safe. There is no space given to actually identify your own traits, right? What brings
Exactly.
me joy?
Yeah.
You know,
And what is joy for? Yeah. Well, who am I? Right. So we have
who
a
am
question from our, someone typed in a question for us. So this
Great.
is from Lisa. What if it's the mother who's demanding all the attention and not another sibling?
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. So this is a very, very common scenario, right? Where we have, and this could be a mother who is mentally ill, or who has a personality disorder or an addiction, or a
Just a
mother
victim mindset and it's all about
victim
me.
mindset. You know, we talk about parentification, where some children are made to adopt roles within a family that are well above their sort of expected age range. There's a lot of scenarios here where we see, you know, domineering, over controlling, enmeshed mothers, right?
Yes.
So this is generally when we have a mother who is not respectful of boundaries, because boundaries are extremely important in developing a healthy relationship between parent and child. When there are no boundaries and the mother is expecting all the attention for themselves, and the children exist to serve the mother, generally the impact is grave on the children, right? So and this is a perfect example of where a child can go one of two ways, and a great segue. They can either turn themselves into a pretzel and become extremely congenial to earn the love, and they're usually then called the golden child who could do no wrong, right? Or oftentimes they become avoidant, right? They become avoidant because they actually find that it's suffocating to be so emotionally enmeshed with the mother, right? And so what they do is they tend to isolate themselves a lot. Children who become avoidantly attached, who we know to be avoidantly attached as adults, they tend to spend a lot of time alone as children. They learn very young that they cannot rely on their caregivers for any comfort, support, reassurance, validation. So if the mother is, you know, maybe has histrionic, let's say, personality disorder, and there's always something going on and everything's about them, the child has no space for their feelings.
So they learn so many coping skills on their own. And then when they become an adult, they are trying to do it all themselves. So they're really not being their selves, a good self in a partner with someone else. So we have, what do we have? Another, I don't know, 5-6 more minutes. Can you go over the rest of the attachment styles?
Yeah. So I just want to mention again that, like, the avoidantly attached person, they do have a very hard time when they get into relationships because they're used to being on their own, right? And they're also petrified of this idea of being emotionally suffocated once again, because that's what they experienced. And to them, love feels unsafe.
So would that person just be like a serial dater or a serial booty call or something, right?
Yeah. So these individuals typically are the ones that really favor, what's it called? Like a situationship.
Yes.
Right.
Love that.
Like,
yeah.
yeah, we don't really have to put a label on it. We don't have to commit to anything. We don't have to. They're really afraid to take that next step towards commitment because they really value their independence, their freedom. They're afraid of any level of enmeshment. They're really afraid of vulnerability. Vulnerability was never tolerated for them. A lot of these children were criticized, judged, or punished harshly if they cried, if they showed that they were upset. Because again, if we use the example of the mother, the whole point is to keep the mother happy. So the child has they have no leeway.
Yep.
right? And so they sort of come inward and they expect very little from the people around them, and they become an island unto themselves. It's not that they don't want love and affection. Most humans do. It's that they don't have the roadmap for how to have a healthy relationship. So even if you're in a relationship with an avoidant, which by the way will take a long time for them to trust you, but if you want to bring up something and have a conversation, even conflict for them feels very, very threatening.
Very scary. Yeah.
Very scary.
We have
And
another
they're likely to sort of run away from that.
for sure. Or break up and you're ghosted. They're going to be ghosted. You're done. Yeah. Or I've also experienced they scream and yell to scare you, to get you to be quiet so they don't have to have that conversation anymore.
Which is also a form of avoidance, because you'll notice what they're doing is they're ignoring what you're saying and they're escalating to deflect.
Yep.
Right.
Deflect. Yep. So Pam is asking, is this applying to modern day, or is this just for years before 1980s? I see it now. I mean, I'm single and dating, so I do see it now. What do you think?
Yeah, excellent. So thank you, Pam. Attachment styles was first studied in the 1950s. So the way in which we form as humans emotional bonds, this science has been around for a long time, well before the 1980s. What we're seeing even more so now, because we have dating through the modern world in the digitized format, is we see less accountability for our behaviors. So we see things like ghosting. Now, ghosting is a behavior that someone who's avoidant, who's trying to avoid conflict, would have always done in the past. They would have avoided, ghosted, whatnot. But in the past, when we met our partners through community, there was consequence.
Right.
Because
you somebody.
If you mistreated me, I'm going to go tell my mother, who's going to tell her best friend, who's going to, right? Because you were usually set up, or you met through church or community. Now online, people are anonymous. And so we see a lot more of these really, I consider them terrible behaviors.
Right.
So the behaviors are not new, but the incidence is rising because of this perceived lack of any accountability.
Yes. I love that. Okay. With the last 5 minutes we have, give me some other attachment styles.
Okay. So there's the last attachment style, which we mentioned, is the fearful avoidant or the disorganized attachment. The fearful avoidant is actually a melange, a mix of traits between the anxious and the avoidant. And the fearful avoidant actually generally comes out of a home where there was extreme chaos and oftentimes abuse, any kind of abuse, verbal, physical, could be sexual, emotional. And so what we see here is that the young child will reach out to the caregiver for comfort and safety and love, like every child will do. And they'll want to become closer and activate, to get that love and reassurance. But that same person that they are moving closer towards is also the same person that is harming them.
Right.
Right. And so it creates a pattern, a psyche in a schema in our mind that is disorganized. I want love. I'm going to come towards you, but I'm also really fearful because I know it hurts me. So I'm going to take my space. And so these people grow up into adulthood, and as romantic partners, they're often known as the hot and the cold partner. So, they want love, but if you get too close, it triggers them. It feels uncomfortable. This feels unsafe, and they often push you away. So you might have a beautiful weekend with this person, and then they'll tell you they need 2 weeks to themselves.
Yes. Okay. That's a great firefighter schedule, actually. So, so can you become an anxious avoidant to a secure attachment?
You can. So I want people to understand that these things live on a continuum, right?
Okay.
We have traits. So nobody falls exactly in one box.
Right.
But the work that I do is I work with people to uncover their core wounds and help them to rewire some of these patterns that are in their mind, that are guiding their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in these unproductive ways. Now, these ways were productive when you were very young. They kept you safe, but they're no longer productive in your adult life, right? Most of the time they're keeping you, struggling from forming healthy and really nurturing relationships with people. So
and then I'm going to translate that into money as well, because how you feel about one thing is how you feel about everything. So the attachment style you're feeling for this relationship is also your relationship with money. So it's very important to find that out, where it's coming from, and shift your money beliefs as well, just like with this. So go to Bev's website, do your test, and see where you fall, because this is where we need to do our work, right? We have 2 minutes left, Bev. Give us some really good, juicy things here. Give us some positivity. Where's the positivity?
Well, I mean, listen, the positivity is, yes, we absolutely can make changes, right? So that's definitely positive. I work with couples, and it doesn't take 3 years. I work with couples and individuals, and within a couple of months, we can see some real changes. The biggest change you'll see is how you relate to yourself,
which is the most important thing. We have to love ourselves and respect ourselves before we can respect money or anyone else.
And love and respect are really important, but at the root of attachment is trust.
Yeah, true.
So what we want to do is we want to reestablish a level of trust that we have and safety, that I have what it takes to make the right decision, make it through these difficult moments, do something on my own, getting to a new relationship, all of these things. And that my emotions, of course, greatly impact my thoughts, which greatly impact my behavior.
Your actions. Yep, absolutely. Bev, I so love that. You nailed it all the way down to trust. We want to trust ourselves with all of our decisions so that we can make better choices and moving forward. Bev, you are amazing. Everybody check out her website, Securely Loved. Get there, do your quiz. Bev, thank you so much. And you're so knowledgeable. We really do appreciate you coming on Rock My Finances. I want everyone to be able to say, I rock my finances.
We appreciate you joining us today, and don't forget to subscribe to the Rock My Finances YouTube channel for more engagement and bonus content. Tell me, what is your money story? Let's find out with Jennifer right here on K4HD Radio and Talk4 TV. It's not about the zero, it's about the F word, feelings. Feelings Jennifer can't wait to explore with you next week. Until then, let's all say, I rock my finances.